takes it in overtime. Brady Tkachuk, breakaway shoots, scores!
Welcome to Sens Talk. My name is Brandon and I am your host tonight. Ottawa took on the Nashville Predators in a big game. If Ottawa wins this game, they will surpass the 500 mark again and would only be 5 points out of a wildcard spot. They would also surpass Florida and Buffalo in the standings. So a big game tonight after a huge loss on Saturday, 8-4 loss to the Seattle Kraken. Ottawa is looking to get right back into the playoff conversation. It would be a huge win tonight with teams like Buffalo even losing tonight. So Ottawa really has a chance to reclaim some ground in the playoff standings. By the way, I just quickly wanted to mention this. Thank you to everyone who nominated us for 3 separate categories at this year's Ottawa Faces Magazine Awards. It's a true honor. It's very humbling for our 10th anniversary to be celebrated like this. It's a true honor. So thank you very much. We worked really, really hard behind the scenes to put out this great content for you guys. Of course, myself, been building this for the last 10 years. 10 years in a row now of a post-game recap after every single Senator game. It's absolutely wild. Shout out to Giordano Ladisa, our producer. He helps really a lot with our long-form content and a lot of cool edits that we put out as well for social media. Brian Charbon going on with social media really puts out some really cool graphics. Noah Luden, OG, was a part of this from the beginning back in 2013 in an advisory role. Really helps me make some big decisions. And there's some other guys I'm not even mentioning. We have a big team and we put out some great content for you guys, and I'm really, really happy to see that you guys are really enjoying it enough to nominate us for 3 separate categories for YouTube channel, for the blog, and best sports podcast. So it's an absolute honor. So thank you so much for your support. Voting begins January 15th. I'll make sure to put out a video on January 15th with a link in the description to that one if you guys were interested in voting. So be on the lookout for that video on January 15th if you were interested in voting for us in this year's Ottawa Faces Magazine Awards. Regardless, thank you very much for your support and for your nominations. It really does mean a lot to be nominated for 3 separate categories. I mean, it's great to see that the hard work that we're putting into this is being reflected. You guys are liking what we're doing, and it's truly humbling. So thank you so much. Now let's get into the game recap. So tonight, Ottawa took on the Nashville Predators. Now, Ottawa was taking on UC Saros of the Nashville Predators. Now, this guy is an absolute freak of nature. In the last game against Carolina Hurricanes, he had 64 stops. Yeah, 64 stops. So Ottawa is facing a very tough test tonight. And 11 minutes in, that test gets even tougher. 1-0 Predators. Eric Brandstrom in the neutral zone turns it over, and the Predators strike first. They are 14-5-5 when scoring the first goal. So right away, 10 minutes into the game, Ottawa's down by a goal. The Predators are one of the better teams in the National Hockey League. They have a 5-game winning streak right now, and they're 14-5-5 when scoring first with a brick wall in the net there with UC Saros. Tough start for Ottawa, and then 30 seconds later, it seems like the story is set for the game. 2-0 Predators. Tanner Jeannot on a wraparound. Cam Talbot, you got to get there from post to post. Very, very slow and sluggish post-to-post movement here from Talbot on the wraparound. Doesn't get there in time. Very tough start for the Senators, and suddenly it is 2-0 Nashville Predators. That gives Ottawa 10 goals in less than 4 periods at this point. They have given up 10 goals in less than 4 periods. I'm not a math wizard. I'm not a hockey genius, but it doesn't take one to figure out that that is not good. We go to the second period of play, and geez Louise, 1 minute in, Matt Duchene scores. Thankfully, though, it's called off for an offside. Very lucky because Ottawa, with a few minutes left in the first period of play, actually did get a goal. Brady Tkachuk scored one, but it was called for offside as well. So both teams got a goal called back for offside. That's really it for the second period of play. Mark Kastelic got into a huge fight with Tanner Jeannot. Jeannot is a beast, by the way, so good on Kastelic for trying to fire up the boys. That is definitely a fight that he was outclassed on, just by pure size. I mean, Tanner Jeannot is a huge player. So really, once again, kudos to Mark Kastelic. We really need more of our bottom six to be stepping up in times like this, like that. So good on you, Mark Kastelic. So we go to the third period of play, and like I said, with the Tanner Jeannot goal in the first period of play, it kind of seemed like the story was set right away in the first period. It's a very sluggish, choppy affair where Ottawa got some chances. UC Saros was certainly playing well, making some huge stops, but Ottawa wasn't helping themselves. The defense alone gave up multiple 2-on-1s in each period. It was just disastrous, and Cam Talbot was forced to make some huge stops, and he did. He kept Ottawa in it. It's the only reason it was 2-0 going to the third period of play. Yeah, Ottawa actually outshot the Nashville Predators in this one, but if you watch the game, it didn't feel like it. The Predators just took advantage of multiple defensive breakdowns, 2-on-1s, and neutral zone turnovers. I mean, the forwards are not back-checking in time, and the defensemen, I mean, they're just not helping the goaltender. The defensemen tonight, Brandstrom and Hamnick and Holden in particular, were disastrous. That first goal is purely on Eric Brandstrom, for example. So the defense tonight really let us down. Sanderson looked fine. Zub looked fine. Shabbat did not look fine. That third goal, which we'll be talking about right here, 8 minutes into the third period of play, was off a brutal turnover from Tom Shabbat along the blue line, which is really rare. Usually Tom Shabbat is very fantastic along the blue line, very confident. He had a couple of great moves along the blue line today to create some scoring chances for Ottawa, but not here. Brutal turnover to Philip Forsberg, and he makes no mistake of it. He beats Cam Talbot glove side, and the Predators strike to make it 3-0, and that's going to be game. Ottawa will fall to the Nashville Predators 3-0, and this game, frankly, in my opinion, was a colossal waste of time. I mean, yeah, once again, Ottawa outshot the Nashville Predators, and they got some good chances. Saros made some big stops, but, I mean, the amount of defensive breakdowns from guys like I mentioned, Hamnick, Holden, and Brandstrom, disastrous. 2 out of the 3 goals tonight were purely because of our defensemen turning the puck over in the neutral zone or along the blue line. Inexcusable. Just an absolute disastrous loss for your Ottawa Senators, where, you know, Ottawa started off 2023 looking great with those back-to-back wins early on, as you saw in our arena, you know, content. But this is just a completely different story. I don't know if I have to get back to the arena. Maybe when I'm there, they start winning. So hopefully I could get back soon. Hopefully that will, you know, turn things around for them. But on a more serious note, I mean, the goaltending looked disastrous in that 8-4 loss to Seattle. And I can't fault Cam Talbot for this one tonight. Yeah, that third one and that second one were not great. But I mean, of the amount of turnovers we had, the amount of 2-on-1s we gave up, Cam Talbot really made some big stops. Once again, it's the only reason Ottawa was only down by 2 going into the third period of play. So for Ottawa, their next game is on Thursday. It's in a few days. They get another few days off here. They definitely have to take advantage of this time off here and come out swinging on Thursday against a lesser opponent like the Arizona Coyotes. That's a team that Ottawa has to beat if they want to be quote-unquote serious for the playoffs. But once again, this is one of those games in hand that Ottawa had, and they squandered yet another opportunity. It's like the second or third time they've had an opportunity to bounce back into the standings with a game in hand, and they squandered 3 in a row, I believe. But yeah, it's a tough loss here for Ottawa, and I also want to mention this. Shane Pinto for second-line center has been absolutely invisible. When you have guys like Drake Batherson and Alex DeBrincat on your wings, I expect you to be able to create some offense. Shane Pinto has been invisible, and he's not been a defensive liability. He's been fine winning faceoffs and everything, but offensively, he's getting outclassed. And I think if Josh Norris can come back soon, that would be absolutely huge for this team, purely because I think Shane Pinto needs to play on the third line. He's too young, he's too raw, and he's being pushed way too early into a top 6 role. And I think DJ Smith kind of agrees with this because he shifted the top 6 in that third period of play. So the first line now has Tkachuk with Stützle and Alex DeBrincat, which I really do like. DeBrincat and Stützle on the power play today look good with one another. And the second line will be Claude Giroux, Shane Pinto, and Drake Batherson. I quite like this one, to be honest with you. I think Claude Giroux will be able to mentor Shane Pinto, and he's a great playmaker as well. So hopefully that can help Shane Pinto get going. And for DeBrincat, I mean, that shows a lot of confidence there for Tim Stützle to be put with a guy like DeBrincat and Tkachuk. Tkachuk can win some faceoffs, but I mean, Stützle is undoubtedly the number 1 center on that line now. There's no more Claude Giroux. So if that top 6, you know, sticks moving forward, especially for that game on Thursday against the Coyotes, I mean, that really shows a boost of confidence for Tim Stützle to show that his two-way game has really developed this year, which it has. He's getting penalty kill minutes, but the ability for him to win faceoffs without having to rely on Claude Giroux or Tkachuk will be huge for Tim Stützle's development. So I'm really happy to see that vote of confidence from DJ Smith. And then for the second line, once again, Claude Giroux is a great playmaker, and hopefully that can help get Pinto going. So besides that, Ottawa loses 3-0. They get shut out. It's back-to-back losses now. It's a squandered opportunity. And I think it's time to frankly say that this team is just mid. I mean, they're not good. They're not bad. They're just mid. You know, they're going to get some wins here. They're not going to be a playoff team more likely than not. They're not going to exceed expectations more likely than not. And, you know, they're just going to be better than bad, but not good enough to be considered great. So they're just in the middle of the pack there. They're going to be mid. They're probably going to miss a playoff spot and get a bad draft pick. So we're on a mediocre stage here. With new ownership, there is certainly reason to be optimistic of the future. But for right now, let's just see what happens. I mean, we're not trying to tank, so I'm still cheering for wins. but I wouldn't expect us to make a miraculous comeback. But once again, we've said that before about the Ottawa Senators back in 2015 for sure, and look what happened. So you know what? Who knows? But right now it's not looking good. So besides that, I will see you for sure on Thursday for Ottawa's game against the Arizona Coyotes. I'll probably put out a video earlier. I have an interview I might put out. I might also put out a Let's Talk video. So be on the lookout for that probably on Wednesday. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Go Sens, go.